Hey guys, what's up? JDoZ back here again, and it's been a little while. I was getting through finals with college. As you see, I'm back. This is my house, so this is what I'll be recording for the summer. So I have a fun video for you guys. A big topic of what Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer have been doing to fix the Vikings up for the 2017 season was the Vikings offense. So I'm going to do a prediction video of the total potential of the Vikings 2017 offense, and at the very end I will make some considerations for injuries, small and a lot, disaster-like. So let's start off with our rushing offense. So last year we only had 1,205 total rushing yards and 9 touchdowns, ranked 32nd and 26th respectively. So let's break into this. And first off, I'm going to start out with our free agent acquisition, Latavius Murray from the Raiders. I'm going to guess he'll have about 800 yards and 10 touchdowns. I got these numbers based off their previous stats and based off other things I like to think about. So with 800 yards, 10 touchdowns, you get 800 yards in split back type offenses in the past, so I think that's very likely, and he'll be our main touchdown guy, I'm thinking. Cook. Dalvin Cook, a lot of people think he'll be Rookie of the Year. I think he'll fall short just because he won't get the number of carries. Cook, I have him going for 900 yards. I think towards the end of the year he'll get more yards, or he'll get more attempts than Murray, and only 4 touchdowns because I think Murray's still going to be kind of a red zone guy. And I threw McKinnon in here for just 100 yards. He'll get a few snaps every now and again, maybe wildcat things. So that will bring our total all the way up to 1,800 yards, which would be 12th ranked overall, and 16 touchdowns, which would be 10th. So I think Vikings fans would be more than happy with those numbers. So now let's move on to the passing attack. Last year, we had 3,836 yards, which was 18th overall, which isn't too bad. It's right around average. And 20 touchdowns. This is what needs to be fixed. That was 21st overall. So let's start off with our running backs. Receiving, I had Murray at 200 receiving yards, I had Cook at 250 receiving yards to be a little more explosive, and I gave McKinnon 100 receiving yards because I do see him being used in different types of formations where we throw him the football. And now to our receivers, Stephon Diggs, I think he'll eclipse the 1,000-yard mark. He'll get 1,000 yards and only 4 touchdowns because he's not really a big red zone guy. Adam Thielen, I have him right around 900 yards. He had more last year, but I'm going to knock him down just a little bit because there's going to be a little bit more talent on our offense this year, so you don't get as many targets. But I did mark him on for 5 touchdowns. Floyd, our free agent acquisition from the Patriots, or more knowing from the Cardinals, I have him going for 800 yards. I think he's been a great number 3 receiver, and 800 yards has been right around his average for his career in Arizona. He's actually been more closer to 850 yards, so a little bit of knockoff because he's a number 3 receiver. And 4 touchdowns, he's going to be one of our better red zone targets. Kyle Rudolph had a career year last year, going for about 850 yards. Another guy knocked out just a little bit because he won't have to be leaned on as much in our offense, so I put him at 750 yards and 7 touchdowns, right where he was last year. Now the biggest question mark on the whole Vikings offense is going to be the progression of sophomore wide receiver Laquan Treadwell. I have him as a big question mark, but for just a fun guess, I have him at 550 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think that's very fair. He'll probably be on the team as number 4 receiver behind Michael Floyd, so having him there to get those yards is a nice thing. And then I threw 150 yards miscellaneous to our Jarius Wrights, or Bucky Hodges of our team. That won't get a ton of receptions, but they will be there, so they'll just be added on at the very end, and I threw 2 touchdowns in there as well. So this would bring our total passing on the whole year. Remember, this is potential, so don't get too antsy and throw fits in the comment section. 4,600 yards, which would put us 4th overall, and 34 touchdowns, which would also rank us 4th in the league, going off last year's team stats overall. So if that would happen, that'd be insanely big. I think the way I discredited a lot of our wide receivers, I think I gave them less than what they could do. A guy like when I first made this list, I had Thielen and Diggs for both going for over 1,000 yards, and I believe I had Floyd at 850 yards, and I had Treadwell at 852. I had Rudolph at 850 yards, not Treadwell. But when I saw that number computed, I knocked it down just a little bit because I thought about how they would probably move the ball a bit more. But that isn't all. Total last year. Let's look at our total offense, and then now I'll look into what could potentially happen due to injuries. So total offense last year, we only had 5,041 yards, which is 28th in the year, really bad. Next year, if all goes according to plan, if all this talent comes together like I predicted, this would give us a total of 6,400 yards, which would be 3rd in the league overall, which would be crazy good. Now, let's do it with some injuries. So, my stats were already kind of with injuries in mind. Like, for example, Stephon Diggs had about 940 yards last year, but he missed 3 games. So, upping that just a little bit with the better Bradford should be in the realm of possibility, but with a little bit more injury than last year. Here's a 5% total. I did a 5% knockoff, just a few injuries, which still have us at 66,080 yards, which still have us 4th in the league. Now let's add some more injuries. What are the Vikings? We can't just account for maybe Bradford missing a half and then Thielen going out for 4 games. There's some more injuries. This is a little bit more. This is maybe losing one of those lower guys. Maybe Michael Floyd gets hurt for 10 games. Something like that. This is a 10% knockoff, so it's only 90% of our total potential. This would still give us 5,760 yards, which would give us 9th in the league overall. We'd still have a top 10 offense with a fairly significant amount of injuries on our team. I think that speaks numbers for how much talent is on our team right now. Now, for this last category, I have a disaster. 20%. This is 80% of total potential. This is something like Bradford out for the year. Maybe Diggs is out for another 8 games. Cook tears ACL in preseason. Knock on wood and all these things. You don't want any of that to happen. This is complete disaster territory. We still get 5,120 yards, which eclipses our yard marks from last year, and we're still 28th in the league overall. So this just goes to show that there is almost no way we can be as bad of an offense last year, which still was very competitive. Of course, according to the numbers, we weren't very good, especially at running the ball. That was a complete disaster. But I don't think there's any way we can be as bad as we were last year. So make sure to like this video, comment down below what you think the Vikings are going to be able to do. Who do you guys even think, for the question of the day, who do you think is going to be the absolute stud in our offense? Is there going to be one guy we lean on more than not to get those first downs? Who's going to get the most targets? And who's going to be that guy? I think as much as I want Dalvin Cook to be amazing, I think Latavius Murray is going to be the biggest improvement for our team. He's going to be a great blocker for Bradford. He's going to be a great dual threat running back that can catch the balls out of the backfield and run in the red zone, which is what we really need. Dalvin Cook will be great in those yards in between the red zones, in the middle of the field, but Latavius Murray is going to be that man in the red zone that we're going to need, either to pick up a blitzer to give Bradford enough time to find a guy like Laquan Treadwell in the end zone, or he can go and just run between the tackles and squeeze in there for a touchdown, whatever helps us the team the most. So this was my video. I'm JoZ, and we'll see you guys in the next Vikings video. See ya.